Hey y'all, and welcome to Politibrawl. My name is Brian, and when Elizabeth Warren goes on Squawk Box, she once again proves that she has more direct ties to the Cherokee Nation than she does any understanding of basic economics or the price of eggs. Let's dive in.
Nothing works when you try to artificially control prices. It's just a supply and demand issue. It's a flawed idea.
So did you have a question here?
Yes. Why would you propose a flawed idea when the real problem, if you really want to help the middle class, if you really sincerely want to help people having trouble at the grocery store, it's not price gouging that's the issue. And if you look at it seriously and really want to help them, then let's do something about it together. Fine.
When you remember, we all talked about egg prices. You end up with something like this giant egg producer, Cal-Maine. And Cal-Maine raises the price of eggs. Their profit margins increase by 718%. That's not just passing along costs.
Senator,
and that is a time
that's sophistry. Your example on Kraft. Your example on Kraft is even worse.
You finished first. In any of the states around the country that already have price gouging laws in place.
Can I tell you why that those are fallacious and misleading at best? And your Kraft analogy is even. Why can't I tell you? Please let me tell you. Kraft, you say, was 440% profit increase. The example you used, the prior quarter from the year before, they had a charge of $1.3 billion, an accounting change which wiped out profits. Then they earned what they normally. Let me finish now. They earned.
You didn't let me finish. Look at the data. When you've got companies that are gouging consumers on prices, consumers need to know they've got somebody on their side.
Senator,
and
listen, we're trying to help. We're trying to actually do. Where are you in the 37 states that currently have price gouging laws?
Just quickly on that point, Senator Warren,
this
is Kelly here. Can I just clarify how this would work?
This is the way you never lose an argument because no one can ever say anything back to you, Senator.
The state price gouging laws.
Let's go back to Cal-Maine because avian flu caused the destruction of 40 million eggs. They have 20% market share. They have 20%, but they don't control the market. It's like OPEC, or it's like oil. When oil prices go up for whatever reason, or they go down, when they go down, the price is set for oil. The reason that Cal-Maine made that money was because that's what happened to the price. The next quarter, they went down in half. They lost 50% of the profits from the last one. They don't set that price. And neither do the Exxon does not set the price of oil. So when Exxon has $80 or $100 a barrel, yes, they make record profits. When there was a pandemic, their profits went to almost zero. Now, it's just the way it is. And to think that the government can decide when prices are too high or too low, the grocery chains have a 2% profit margin. How about Apple with 50% or 40%? How do you decide? This is not the government's place to do these things. It's a fool's errand. And it also you're using it to divert the real cause of inflation over the last 4 years, which was because you had demand after the pandemic, which obviously, there was a lot because we reopened. And all of a sudden there's supply chain issues and the demand is juiced by all the stimulus from the IRA and all the other spending that we did.
There have been many causes for inflation. We all understand that. That's why I started my answer in talking about this. But one of the causes of prices going up is that there are companies that have market dominance that have said, oh, this is a moment when everyone is talking about...
Okay, name another one. Give me an instance. If you give me an instance.
Finish my argument here?
Okay, we're going to have to agree to disagree. I think that the way that the United States came out of the pandemic, you want to thank the government. I think the private sector we can thank for the 15 million jobs and everything else. So I think we need to embrace it. There may be a few bad actors, but the whole idea that it's all about, these bad corporations is just ill-conceived. But thanks for your time.
Oh, that's just classic Elizabeth Warren. And I normally say bless your heart because some people are just that ignorant, except she isn't. She is a savvy politician. You don't get reelected the amount of times that she does unless you have something to offer. And furthermore, when your rhetoric has totally shifted, you know that person has been politically compromised. See Crenshaw Dan, okay? If never look into how much money that dude has made in the stock market, okay? His portfolio beats Nancy Pelosi's. It's also because he comes from a district with a whole lot of military installations, but that's another topic for another day. So when it comes to Elizabeth Warren here, she's trying to make the point that, it's not just inflation, it's price gouging. Those big, meanie corporations are trying to stick it to you, the little guy, and therefore that's why the price of eggs have risen. Go on. Go on, Elizabeth. I really want to hear about how that $1.3 trillion stimulus bill absolutely fell flat on its face. And on one hand, yay, the economy got jump-started, even though it was roaring to begin with. Gee, I wonder what caused that to fail to begin with. Don't want to look down that rabbit trail, CDC. And then you have the whole idea that, to jumpstart this economy again, let's pump it full of with another $1 trillion. That'll sure help out, right? Even though Trump gave pretty much every tax-paying American an extra boost in a $1,000 stimulus, that did flood the market briefly, but it wasn't until after that stimulus bill did the inflation truly hit us and hit us like a freight train. Okay? If you want to look back at the reason why inflation got so bad, you didn't start seeing the high prices in 2021. You saw them at Christmas time of that year and really took off in 2022. But you know what, Elizabeth? I'm going to give you a small benefit of the doubt. Consider it a 1,024th sliver of a doubt. And let's look into Cal-Maine's food profits from the end of November 2009 to the end of 2024, to the beginning of 2024 when we actually have good data. Now it starts off with a pretty low amount. Their gross product was 19%, operating costs, total operating margin 8.94%, and then that means the net margin was 5.93%. And if you look at this graph and you just sort of drag the mouse, you'll see that all the numbers line up almost perfectly. That means they're not price gouging you. Okay? If these numbers are all adding up and lining up perfectly on this little graph, that means that there's not a price gouging issue going on here. Because then you'd see a spike in the margin and you wouldn't see a spike in the operating margin, okay? But the lines are so similar, you'd think they're all exactly the same. And they usually are. So why don't we actually look into the reason that egg prices are high? Because it's not because big poultry wants to stick it to you. No, it is much, much worse, and it started under the Biden administration. And so, the average price of a dozen large grade A eggs was $4.15 in December 2024, up 14% from $3.65 in November. So already a huge spike in just 1 month. That's really weird. That's more than a 60% increase from the $2.51 it cost a year ago, and 160% more than the $1.41 consumers paid for the same carton in 2019. And so behind the rising egg prices and shortages is a strain of the highly pathogenic avian influenza, HPAI, known as H5N1, that killed 13.2 commercial egg-laying hens in the month of December alone, and it continues to depopulate flocks in 2025, according to the USDA. Yeah, and to make matters worse, as it turns out, we've been having bird flu problems pretty much ever since Biden took over. We started seeing outbreaks in 2021, and Biden just licked his ice cream cone, said, no, I'm not going to care about this. Had a similar issue in 2022, more ice cream cones, less caring. Then 2023, less of a problem, back to ice cream cones. And then 2024, as Biden realized that, these poll numbers are terrible, my internals are rotten, I'm not going to win next election unless I make some drastic changes last minute. And so he frantically tries to scramble and ultimately goes back to licking ice cream cones and does nothing to solve a major issue that then the moment that Donald Trump wins, the bird flu spikes in November and doubles from that in December, and now it's wrecking populations across the country. Now, so far, I'm a Georgia boy, and poultry is really big here in the Peach State. Somehow we've been supremely lucky, and we haven't had our farms hurt. But farms across the Midwest, farms across the entire West, the left coast, in New England, pretty much the only places it hasn't hit too terribly hard has been here in the South, and I'm expecting those numbers to change at any moment. So yeah, we had a president that gave us worse inflationary numbers due to a stupid policy in order to jumpstart the economy. It did not end well for the American consumer. Then you have a politician who is out here saying that, oh, it's price gouging, when clearly it's not. The cow main profit margins do not bear that out whatsoever. And then you're out here screaming that, oh, there's a bird flu problem. Why isn't Trump doing anything about the price of eggs? Ma'am, he just got in office. He just started, and this has been a problem brewing for months, and the Biden administration has done nothing and laid no ground level to deal with this problem. This is absolutely insane, and it's only going to get better under the Trump administration. But in order for that to happen, in order for that to change, I'm afraid we're going to see it get much, much worse. I hope it doesn't. I hope Trump's plan ends up coming to fruition, and I really hope it works. But right now, because of just a lack of ability from the Biden administration, dumb policies, and of course Elizabeth Warren showing nothing but word salad for what she has to say, I'm afraid this issue is going to get worse before it gets better. Unfortunately, we now have at least some competent people in the White House, so I expect things to ultimately turn up smelling like roses for the betterment of the USA. Folks, my name is Brian. Hope you enjoyed that segment here on Politbrawl. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Catch you on the next one. Until then, y'all have a good one.